Okay folks, we're back with another Best Black Movies list, and this one is from arguably one of the best eras of black film. So with that being said, dwindling this list down to just 10 was definitely not an easy task. However, we've done our best to pick 10 movies that best represent the 90s and are considered classics and still beloved and watched all these years later. So let's have a look folks, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Number 10, Set It Off, 1996. 1 year after directing one of the most beloved hood comedies in history, Friday, F. Gary Gray returned with another classic in Set It Off. The movie stars Kimberly Elise, Vivica Fox, Jada Pinkett, and Queen Latifah as four friends who find their lives pushed so close to the edge of insanity and desperation that they decide there's only one solution to their situation, and that's to take matters into their own hands and rob a bank.
Frankie, Cleo, moi.
Then, in the words of Slick Rick, they did the job. Money came with ease, but then they couldn't stop. It's like they had a disease. They robbed another and another. Interestingly, Vivica Fox's role as Frankie was supposed to go to Rosie Perez of Do the Right Thing and White Men Can't Jump fame, but Rosie ultimately passed on the role. Also, in the original script, Jada Pinkett's character Stoney was written as a crackhead, and her brother was a crack dealer. But F. Gary Gray said, nope, we're not doing black stereotypes in my movie.
What are you looking at? I'm a bitch with a gun.
Come on, we're taking too much time.
Don't try and be a hero.
All right, here we go. There we go. All right.
Movie. We're almost to the door.
Number 9, Menace to Society, 1993. Whereas Boyz in the Hood offered glimpses of optimism and hope, Menace to Society gave us an uncompromising look at life in South Central Los Angeles, where hope is a rare commodity and reaching the age of 25 is considered an achievement. Directed by twin brothers Albert and Alan Hughes, who were only 20 years old at the time of filming, the movie follows the story of Kane, played by Tyrone Turner, who moves in with his grandparents after his mother dies of a drug overdose and his dad meets a tragic end in a botched drug deal. To make ends meet, Kane slings drugs, carjacks, and steals cars to get by. His closest friend is the remorseless O-Dog, portrayed brilliantly by Lorenz Tate. The opening scene featuring the duo is hauntingly stirring and sets the tone for the movie, showing Kane getting caught up in a grocery store shooting when O-Dog guns down the store's owner. Menace to Society meticulously examines how Kane's environment significantly shapes his life, whether it's his upbringing by drug-addicted parents, his interactions with Purnell, who introduces him to vices like alcohol and firearms, or witnessing his father commit a murder during a card game. It becomes evident that Kane didn't choose this life, it's the world he inherited. He strives to make moral choices, especially when compared to those around him. This film presents an unfiltered, authentic perspective on how impoverished neighborhoods mold individuals into a life of crime. It refrains from glorifying the hood and gangster lifestyle, instead portraying it as it truly is. Kane had the potential to be a remarkable individual, contributing positively to the world. Unfortunately, he found himself trapped in the same cycle of life as his parents. Number 8, Waiting to Exhale, 1995. Directed by Forrest Whitaker and based on the novel by Terry McMillan, Waiting to Exhale follows the story of four successful black women who are close and dear friends and all dealing with issues in their own murky relationships and situationships, but still make time to get together to support and listen to one another through the good and hard times. The film starred the late and great Whitney Houston, along with Leela Rashawn, Loretta Devine, and the fire starter herself, Anna Mae. We mean Miss Angela Bassett. On top of the great acting, and like most of the movies from the 1990s, the soundtrack for Waiting to Exhale was stellar. Produced by Babyface, it topped the Billboard 200 for 5 weeks, sold over 7 million albums in its first year, and earned 11 Grammy nominations. While Whitney's lyrics from her song Exhale, Shoop Shoop defined the movie's theme. When you've got friends to wish you well, you'll find a point when you will exhale. Number 7, Soul Food, 1997. Told through the eyes of 11-year-old Ahmed, Pyramid, Soul Food gives us a peek into the lives of Josephs, a close-knit family in Chicago that gets together at Mother Joe's house every Sunday to have a dinner that not only fills their bodies, but also nourishes their spirits, serving as a symbol of unity and tradition that has long been a staple of the Black American family. But just like all families, the Josephs have had some issues, particularly Mother Joe's 3 daughters. The oldest, Terry, played by Vanessa L. Williams, is at a breaking point, fed up with not only having to carry the financial burden of the family on her shoulders, but also having to deal with an unfulfilled husband, played by Michael Beach, who quits his job to become a musician and then cheats on her with her cousin, Faith, played by Gina Rivera, who we all knew was going to be a problem as soon as she showed up in that leopard print coat. Maxine, played by Vivica A. Fox, and Terry are constantly at odds because not only are Maxine and her husband Kenny, played by Jeffrey D. Sams, constantly borrowing money from Terry that they never pay back, but a lifetime ago, Kenny was Terry's boyfriend, who Maxine stole from her. The youngest of the 3 sisters, Bird, played by Nia Long, has just opened a barbershop beauty parlor and married Lem, played by Mekhi Phifer, who can't find a job due to his criminal record, so Bird makes the wise decision to ask her former boyfriend, Samuel St. James, played by Mel Jackson, to get Lem a job. Of course, this ends up taking a bad turn, but through all the drama and even the loss of Big Mama, the Joseph family bends but doesn't break.
Mom, what have I told you about lying?
All the way
We
down.
know better than that.
Make this
my fault. It's all y'all's fault. Y'all messed up the family. Can't you see that?
Number 6, Love Jones, 1997, starring Nia Long and Lorenz Tate, and released just 6 years after Boyz in the Hood, which Nia appeared in, and 4 years after Menace to Society, which Lorenz starred in. Love Jones provided quite the contrast to the duo's past roles, letting us see them in an entirely new light. Lorenz Tate stars as Darius Lovehall, a young, aspiring novelist, and Nia Long as Nina Mosley, a photographer. Set in Chicago, the film follows Darius and Nina as they fall in love while navigating their careers and personal lives. Love Jones is a refreshing take on the romantic comedy genre. It's a film that is both intelligent and heartwarming. The characters are complex and relatable, and the dialogue is witty and insightful. The movie also features one heck of a soundtrack of jazz and R&B music, which, as we mentioned before, was just one more amazing feature of movies from the 1990s. Also, one of the things that makes Love Jones so special is its depiction of Black love. The film shows Darius and Nina as 2 intelligent and independent individuals who are falling in love. Their relationship is not without its challenges, but they are always supportive of each other. Another thing that makes Love Jones so insightful is its exploration of the nature of love. The film shows that love is not always easy and that it can be complicated and messy, but it also shows that love is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Number 5, The 5 Heartbeats, 1991, directed by Robert Townsend, who co-wrote the script along with Mr. In Living Color himself, Keaton Ivory Wayans. The 5 Heartbeats follows the wild journey of a fictional R&B soul group on the brink of stardom during the 1960s and 70s era. The movie delves into the lives of its 5 members as they navigate the pitfalls and triumphs of the music industry. And though inspired by the legendary 1960s group The Temptations, the movie is primarily based on accounts of another legendary soul group of that era, the Dells, who acted as consultants on the movie. But along with the amazing and emotional acting, the movie simply wouldn't be what it was without the soundtrack, with soul-stirring songs like Nothing But Love and the make you wanna cry teardropper I Feel Like Going On, which, along with a couple of other songs on the soundtrack, was actually credited as being sung by the fictionalized characters in the movie instead of the actual professional singers. Also, we can't mention this movie without talking about 2 of its best scenes. The first being the scene with the original Suge Knight, Big Red telling Bird, "My office hours are 9 to 5," before hanging him off the balcony. And the second being the incredibly sad scene when Eddie King shows up drugged out and attempts to sing Nights Like This for his former group members.
Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall. Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall. Nights like this, I wish raindrops would fall.
Number 4, Boyz in the Hood, 1991. If you're old enough to remember when this movie first came out, like most of us, Boyz in the Hood, along with Ice Cube's wet Jerry curls, probably had you scared as heck to visit California. Written and directed by John Singleton, who was just 23 years old at the time and heavily influenced by his own experiences growing up in South Central LA. This classic movie wasn't just another stereotypical shoot-'em-up gang-bang movie with a lot of unnecessary shots of violence strewn throughout. But what it was an authentic depiction of the struggles and harsh realities that young black men were facing growing up in the area during that time. The movie revolves around the lives of 3 childhood friends: Trey Styles, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., Ricky Baker, played by Morris Chestnut, and Doughboy, played by Ice Cube, who were simply trying to navigate and survive a place where drugs, crime, and gang violence were a constant presence. The narrative is a raw and unflinching portrayal of the difficult choices young black men face in an environment plagued by systematic issues. A fact that Doughboy recognizes and states at the end of the movie. When the morning after Ricky gets killed, he walks across the street, sits next to Trey, and says about American media, either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Ricky!
Number 3, Life, 1999.
Look, I don't need you to take up for me. I'm all right. I'm a grown man. I can handle it.
If you let him have your cornbread, you're gonna be ironing his drawers and clipping his toenails.
Arguably one of, if not the funniest movie that Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence has ever made. Life is framed as a story spanning several decades and being told by an elderly inmate about 2 of his friends, Ray, Eddie, and Claude, Martin, who run into some trouble on a forced bootleg run to Mississippi and end up getting framed for a murder and sentenced to life in prison. But let's be honest, although Eddie and Martin are the stars and undoubtedly do a fantastic job in this movie,
I knock you off the bottles, put a bullet in your ass, and be halfway to New York right now.
Oh my goodness.
Life truly wouldn't be the classic that it is without some of the most hilarious scenes and characters ever, like Mr. Ida Pappy, Jangle Leg, played by Bernie Mac, the real Pappy, Can't Get Right, played by Bokeem Woodbine, and possibly the most quoted line at Black Sunday dinners everywhere.
Man's taking enough of a beating. Go, Ma. Pick him up and carry him on inside.
Goldmouths, you gonna eat your cone bread? Oh, and one more thing. We're willing to bet that only a handful of you remember Mr. Super Freak himself, Rick James, making a cameo in the movie. Number 2, The Best Man, 1999. Directed by Spike Lee's cousin, Malcolm D. Lee. No, seriously, he really is Spike's cousin. The Best Man's story revolves around the wedding of Lance Sullivan, played by Morris Chestnut, and 4 of his friends, including the Best Man and Oprah Book Club nominee, Harper Stewart, played by Taye Diggs, who for some dumb reason chose to write a novel based on his own life in which he thought switching up the names of his friends would fool them. So we all know what happens when Lance finally gets a copy of the book, sneaks off to read it, finds out Harper slept with Mia, then commences to whoop his butt before being talked out of throwing him over the balcony. But it's who talks Lance out of throwing Harper off the balcony that we want to give props to. And that's Quentin, played menacingly and magnificently by Mr. It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp himself, Terrence Howard, and who is undoubtedly the coolest, smoothest, and most arrogant instigator this side of Memphis. But hey, whether you want to admit it or not, we all need a real friend like Quentin.
Say you like it.
Stop it!
Hey, don't let her get away. Don't let her get away, dog.
Go get her, Q. Oh, that's scary.
Number 1. Friday, 1995. Released in April of 1995 and written, directed, and filmed by 3 Los Angeles 20-something-year-olds in just 20 days. That would be F. Gary Gray, Ice Cube, and DJ Pooh. The plot of Friday revolves around a lost job, a porch, some weed, a $200 debt to Big Worm, a hijacked bike, and the origin of a saying that became even more famous decades later, with most not even knowing where it originated from.
Take it. Ain't like you got shit to do tomorrow. You don't have to go to work. Stop hitting it so hard.
That saying would be bye, Felicia, and the orator would be Doughboy. We meant Craig, aka Ice Cube. Along with Chris Tucker's breakout performance and Ice Cube's stoic character, the movie was aided with some standout comedic appearances by Faison Love, AJ Johnson, and 2 all-time greats, Mr. You Gotta Coordinate, John Witherspoon, and the people's favorite, Bernie Mac. Also, we have a few little known nuggets for you. First, the co-writer of the movie, DJ Pooh, wanted to play Smokey because a lot of Smokey's traits that DJ Pooh and Ice Cube had written about were based on things that happened in DJ Pooh's life. But New Line Cinema, who eventually financed the film, said the only way they would finance it was if the guys agreed to replace DJ Pooh with someone with more acting experience. Then, after seeing Chris Tucker doing stand-up on Def Comedy Jam, DJ Pooh told Cube this dude would be able to play the hell out of Smokey. Let's see if we can get him to come in and read for him. To add to that, there was talk about Chris Rock playing Smokey, but in the end, they felt he was too New York. And although Chris Tucker was from Georgia, he had more of a West Coast vibe. And here's one last little gem for you all. Chris Tucker wasn't originally supposed to be in the scene when Craig knocked Debo out.
All right, man, he said if we don't pay him by 10 o'clock, he gonna bust a cap in both our ass, nigga. We need to pay him, man. He crazy, man. Let's stick together.
Then it happened. Chris improvised and just ran in and said, "You got knocked the F out." All right, folks, that's it. We hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to voice your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.
Tell me to hurry up.
Man, I got a lot.
You still ain't sold that weed, Smokey?
Man, I'm trying to, Worm. Niggas are broke these days. What's up, man?
What's up?
Are you at work?
Got fired yesterday.
Oh, man, I tried to come and catch you before you went to work, let you know what happened to Red Ass. Oh, shit! You got knocked the fuck out!